For a long time, people believed they could remain neutral. I'm not involved. It's not my problem. I just want peace. But neutrality only works when justice and injustice are balanced. When injustice becomes systemic, organized, normalized, silence begins to feed it. Neutrality stops being passive. It becomes participation. Injustice rarely survives because of loud supporters. It survives because of quiet observers. Because of those who see but choose comfort. Because of those who sense wrong, but avoid responsibility. History shows a pattern. Major injustices were not sustained only by the powerful. They were sustained by the indifferent. Why do people stay neutral? Because choosing a side is uncomfortable. It risks relationships. It risks reputation. It risks security. Neutrality feels safe. But safety built on silence has a cost. And that cost is truth. There comes a moment when awareness grows too strong to ignore. You see the pattern. You see the imbalance. You see who benefits and who suffers. And something inside you whispers, you cannot stand in the middle anymore. Not because someone forces you, but because your conscience does. Choosing justice does not begin with protests or speeches. It begins internally. It begins when you refuse to normalize corruption. When you refuse to excuse manipulation. When you refuse to stay silent about obvious wrong. Before any savior appears, before any correction comes, people must decide where they stand, because support for justice cannot come from a neutral heart. If a moment of correction arrives, if a reformer rises, if truth confronts falsehood, only those aligned with justice will recognize it. Those who stayed neutral will hesitate. Those who benefited from injustice will resist. But those who chose truth internally will not be confused. Alignment prepares recognition. Choosing justice may cost comfort, it may cost popularity, it may cost convenience, but refusing to choose costs something deeper: integrity. And in times of great imbalance, integrity becomes power, not loud power, moral power. The age of comfortable neutrality is ending, not because the world demands it, but because conscience does. You don't have to shout, you don't have to fight, but you must decide. Are you aligned with truth, or are you protecting injustice through silence? If this episode challenged you, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who believes that justice deserves support, because the future belongs not to the neutral, but to those who choose. The story continues.